Welcome to another lesson on React. In this lesson, we'll be looking at passing props to components. React component uses props to communicate with each other. Every parent component can pass some information to its child component by giving them props. Props might remind you of HTML attributes, but you can pass any JavaScript value through them, including object, array, and function. If you look at HTML, you will notice that HTML has attributes. So those attributes in React, we call them props. These names can be used interchangeably. Props, arguments, attributes. By using something like a product details, right, to give you a list of product description, and then you can have the price and the ratings of the product. Maybe customer review, what people have reviewed from the product. So ideally, for me, I would like you guys most of the time to first create HTML first before you create React components out of it. That way it gives you a clear picture. Or you can do it any which way you want to do it. They will still end up the same way. Let's build it first in HTML, then we can work our way back to React because it's React you guys are learning. So I will remove all these guys and start afresh. So we want to go ahead and start building our HTML that will give us our product. I'm creating a kind of card that will have a container, will be a flex container, and the first item will be an image. So here, the next thing that will come in here will be our product description. So let's go ahead and style outside. We will just do a kind of body padding 20px, and we want to do our flex container display to be flex. I can give this one a class to denote the product, and give this one a class to denote the picture. So let's go ahead and put image. So we have this guy that will randomly generate image for us. Let's make use of this guy. It gives us random image. Okay, so of course this image is too big, so let's do 100, and I want to create a space. Let's make it more interesting. We can then style our pics so we can have rounded edges. Border radius, we can do 10px. Okay, our border radius is not adding up, so let's go ahead and change some context. I can change the font size so as to be noticeable. Okay, so it's looking better. Price and rating. So we have our HTML that is going to be the base of what it is we want to do today. Props is a way for you to communicate the needs into the React element. Notice that this is HTML tag, and then you are able to tell the HTML tags that you want the class that should apply to this tag to be product. That's the same thing we're about to do. That's what I'm about to teach you guys. I want to tell you how to influence things to happen based on what it is you want to do. This is going to be our component that we're going to use. We're not going to call it follow me. We're going to change this component to utility. I want to replicate what we've seen in more than one places. Still stuck in our HTML. And what we want to do is we want to pick these guys off one after the other and turn them to components, and start from the top and convert each of these to first components. Your choice to decide, okay, each of these cards can become a component, and you can just repeat it several times. Let's turn the card to a component. This card can be called product, product, product. You see, that's 3 products, so that your results will look like this: product, product, product. Create component and call it product. I will just copy this one. I come here and I do export function product. Then I return what I copied. So we are done with this. So what I just need to do is to bring it in. I will do import. I want to pick product specifically. So I just come here, introduce this, and say product. So remember what we want to do. We want to be able to remove all these guys and type in product. And what do you expect? You expect it to repeat the same thing for us. Now the next thing I want to do is that I want to be able to pass the image that I want into the product. You can see that it's giving us identical information, which is obvious because that's what we built in the component. Now remember what the definition of props is. Props allow you to pass parameters into the component that you've created, and that's by passing it by in form of an attribute like HTML attribute. What that means is that you can actually say image is equal to some form of image, right? And you should be able to utilize that inside your product components when defining it. Now, because I know the kind of settings we did, I can actually pass, we call it a seed. I can pass a seed to the image generator, and that seed will make sure that it gives me unique image. Notice the image on the right, all the images are the same because they use the same seed. So what I can do is I can just put a unique seed here, and I will repeat the same thing here, and I will expect to see different results. This could actually be a genuine image, right, in your directory or in the backend, and then you render the image and then it shows. What am I doing here? I'm passing parameter to the product component so that it can go and process it. Now, how does the product component knows that the parameter is coming? Is by specifying it here. This is just like, this is a JavaScript function, by the way. However, in React, you can only pass one parameter, and there are two ways to do this. The first way is to use props objects, which you will see most of the time, and the second way is to have named objects where you name it specifically what you want. So I'm going to use the two methods so that you guys are going to see. So using props is just by saying props like this, and what that means is that whatever you specify in your attributes here is available for you inside this props declaration that you make, meaning you can go ahead and inject the image that was defined here, img, inside anywhere you need it here. But you guys remember that this is where we need it. This URL is an API from another company that whenever you pass a sig that is unique at all points, it will always give you different image. So remember that in each time that we are running this is passing different IDs. So therefore, we can then put that ID that is available in props inside this section. You turn this to JavaScript. How do you make it JavaScript? By implementing our curly braces. So when you bring in your curly braces, you can then have this whole string concatenated with what? With the props image value. So you do props dot image. Now look at what you've been able to do. You've been able to pass an image to the component product that you designed. Now the next method that you can use to receive arguments is by using an object. Instead of using a name like this, is by using an object, and that object will now have the value attributes inside it. So instead of me having just props, I will have this object where I will now specify the image. This image that I've spelled here must be equal to one of the attributes that I'm also using here, such that I can now go, I don't need to say props.image, I can just use it as image like this. So this is method 2. So this method is preferable because it's cleaner and it will allow you to set default value. We'll get to that part. So let's say we now want to pass the price. I can then do price like this, and I can put whatever price it is I want. The next thing for you to do is for you to implement it in your code here, because it's not available. You have to implement it. How do you implement it in your code? Is by specifying it here that you want to be able to pass price as a props. So the next thing you do is to put another comma and then provide your value there. Notice that this is still one single parameter because this value, this parenthesis, takes it as an object. You are passing one single value into it. You are not putting it outside of this. Everything is inside this parameter. So it's one value you are passing. It's like props, but this time around it's named props. You name it and you can use the name directly. And like I said, this method is better because it explicitly states what it is that you want. So you can come here and put your price directly. So if you go to the code, you should see your price is changing. Now, the next example I want to show you guys how to set parent and children elements. So that might not be clear very well. Let me show you what I mean by parents, children. Now, this is a div. Everybody know what a div is. And then you have this is a paragraph and this is a text. The div is a parent while the paragraph is a child, which is rendered inside where? Inside the div. You can actually also do the same thing to React elements, meaning you can have an open tag for products, and you can have a close tag for products like this. And the content can then be the product description like this. This is very possible. But how do you implement it? How does your tag knows how to treat the children? If I come here to the coding section now, nothing happens, because you have to tell your product element that this element has a child. So how do you tell it that it has a child? There's actually a keyword you can use to tell it, and that keyword is called children. Whenever you create a tag and that tag has children like this, you can specify another props value called children. When you now create the children, you will then specify where the child content will sit. Obviously, is here that it's going to sit, isn't it? It's going to sit inside here. That's where your child is sitting. So to make that happen, you put, because you're representing JavaScript, you put it here like this. So whatever you put inside this section will show where? Will show where here. So therefore, if I now randomly, pick text, I want to pick some random text online now, you can now mix it with HTML and do something like this. So I'm going to go ahead and implement for the other ones. I'm copying something else as well. Okay, so I have that. So let's do how to specify default value. Let's specify that under discount. Let's create discount. And this discount is supposed to be that you want to discount this value by 10%. This one you didn't specify discount. And this one you want to specify by 20%. Remember, these products that you are selling. So because we will be doing some mathematics, I want to remove the $sign so that it will allow us to do maths. So let me put my $sign there so that my $sign will still show. So how do you make discount count? Is by, of course, putting discount here first. That's our first step, so that we can make use of it in our code. So how do you create default value? Let discount be 5%. If you do not specify discount, you want discount to always be 5%. But before we do that, let's even display discount so that it will show. So I will say my discount, to make discount show, I can just come here and put discount. So you can see discount in the front. And just for us to make it different, let me put it in a span and style it differently. So that this one will have its own span, so that it won't cover the other guy. Okay, so we have something like this. So it's supposed to be like, this is the price, then we are going to calculate the discount. But before I calculate the discount, let's not get carried away about what we are trying to say. What we are trying to say is that I want to show you how to set the default value. You will notice that this second one that doesn't have any value is not showing anything, but you want to have a default value by default. To set that, you will specify that discount is equal to a value. Whatever value you put there then becomes the default value. So it can be anything. As long as you provide something there, it becomes the default value. If you do not provide anything there, it's always blank. It won't show anything. So this is how to specify a default value, by passing the parameter like this. So this is an object that you can pass parameter to it. So image doesn't have a default value, price none, discount has. Let's do some maths and calculate 5% of whatever value we have here. And say constant real price is equal to, how do you calculate real price now? You have your price minus your price multiplied by discounts over 100. I hope that's correct, guys. So that you can then say your discount doesn't need to show here, it's your price that you want to show. So that this can then be your real price. Because when you discount the amount from what you have there, your old price goes away, your new price stays on the right hand side. You can also put React components here, by the way, it will work. And that's to deal with the rating. I want us to put our rating here. Let me create it here, then I will turn it to components. So let's go ahead and create it. So what I want to do right now is to import Bootstrap icons. Import everything from as icon from Bootstrap icons. I want to be able to do icon.stars. So this is the star that is coming out on the right hand side. So let me use another one. There is also solid. Okay, that's the fill. Oh, okay, yeah, I'm getting what I want now. So we can also have half. Okay, then I can fill it with red. Okay guys, so we have what we want to build our components. So let me do an example for you guys so that you see what we want to achieve. So you can have something like this. It can be a 5-star rating. So this is 1, 2, 3, this is 5 ratings. So you can have different kind of ratings. Like you have 5-star. So you can put 1.5, 1.6, 1.7. You can put 3 point whatever. So whatever you put should translate into the number of stars. So we want to create a React component that you can then say rating and then value is equal to 3.7. Maximum being 5. If someone scores 5, it should give you full 5-star rating. That is what we want to create. So let's go ahead and say this is our giant component. I'm going to cut it off and call it ratings. And you know we are passing a props that says value. And the value should be able to say maybe 4.5 or 4.4. Whatever it is you want to put. So let's just say 4.5. So this ratings is not created yet. Let's go and create ratings. So we're done with these products. We go down and go and create another component. And we do export function ratings. And we have value as our props. Remember this method is better. And we have return. What are we returning? We are returning everything we copied. Of course, this icon is not available here. I will just pick what I have here because we're not using the icon in this place. We are using it here. So where you are using it, you can import it in where you are needing it. Okay, the reason why it's not working is because you are not importing ratings. So now remember, you can then import ratings that you need. Let's have the rating here. So let's just break that. Let's do this. Let me take care of that line. So we'll have this one here. Still too harsh. Okay, let me make it dot dot. Okay guys, let's move on. The idea is that we want to pass the rating across board. And let's go ahead and have that implemented. So let's go ahead and set some defaults. Let's say color is red. Right now, this is you. It now gives you an ability for you to change color at will. If you want to change color, you can change color to whatever you want. So this, you will be able to change color. That's what that means. You can then pass color from here and say color should be whatever it is you want. That's the ability. So you've automatically generate control from doing this. Let me not pass size as props. Let me change the size from here because it looks so big. Let's experiment on the sizes. I think 14 should be fine. Now the next thing is for us to make the value actually count. It depends on you to now start defining what it is you want to do. So let's go ahead and write this. I will have my results saved as an array, constant stars as an array, right? Because I want to be able to be pushing what my result is inside this array. I can just push everything here so that you see. Let me push this. So I'm pushing this into this guy. Can you see the results? So what I'm pushing a filled stars, right? And it's filled like this. So that's why I'm having 5. So what I can do is I can count the value and fill it up. But we need to convert the value to integer. So pass this value as integer and then we run this against this value. So we're not checking anything. So when we run this, see our results. We have only 3 here because depending on what was passed here. So let me show you the difference. So here we have 3, 3, 3. So let me change this to 1.5 and 4.5. So if you run this now, you will see those 3, 4, 1, and 4. So what about the remaining blank space? The remaining blank space will be what is left. So we'll call it remaining. So our remaining will be counter minus our integer value. Here we now have the remaining. and the remaining is supposed to fill in where? It's supposed to fill in the empty one. So we can have it like this. So you can see we have the first one takes care of the filled parts, and the second one takes care of the empty. However, how do we take care of the half that we have there? So that's a tricky one. So let's do half. So let's do constant, and I'll call it half. How do you know if you have half? And by the way, our half is going to be in the middle of this part. Our half obviously is going to be 1. So to know if you have half is to minus your integer value minus the main value. So your integer value that you have minus your main value. So if you have a value at all, if there's a value here at all, it means that there's an integer. Okay, so which one is going to be more now? Okay, our value is going to be more. So this one's supposed to be minus. So if this guy is greater than 0, what that means to us is that there's actually a value in between. So if this guy is greater than 0, our remaining will fall short. But let me not touch our remaining now, but it will fall short, just for you to understand what's going on. We're going to have our half here, and that's it. So look at what I told you. We're going to be having more than 5. It's going to be 6. So how do you cater for the 6 that is showing? Is by removing 1 from this remaining dynamically if the need be. So we have this minus 1. So of course it's not going to be constant anymore. It's now going to be let, so that it will not end up being 5 at all points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at all points. So let's run an example where you have 1 and then you have like 2.5, 1 and 4.5. So if you run this, so you can see the first one is 2.5 is correct, the second one is 1 is correct, and the last one is 4.5 is correct. So our rating is working. Everything seems to be working. You can then change the color. So color to, you can even make it color based, meaning if you have a high rating, it should give you, we're not going to do that, guys. We're not going to do that. So this should give you anything lower should give you like red color. You can say color should be red if it's lower. Then this one can give you brown or orange. So you can see how you made the whole thing dynamic just by having a component to do stuff for you. So what I want to show you guys is how to pass objects into your props. As you can see, we are already passing simple values. We can pass in objects like so. So let's say all this value that we've passed, we want to pass it as a form of info where it will be an object. Remember that the way objects are being defined. What I just showed now is curly braces to denote that you want to pass JavaScript. So if you now want to pass real objects, you can now go ahead and start specifying objects by now saying image is equal to maybe 1, right? And then say the next thing that you want to cater for is say price is equal to 64, and let's say discount is equal to 5.6. Now, like I said, this is the info. That means you want to do away with this and be able to pass this kind of object. Whatever you are building is left to you to decide the way that you want to receive the object. So this can be a thing that you want to use as opposed to using this method. Let's go ahead and convert everything into objects like this and use it in the system and see the difference. So I'm going to change this one. This is going to be image 2. 11. So let's go ahead and implement this new change that we've done. Now on coming here, this is now coming in as info, remember guys, this is not coming in as info. It's not coming in as images, price, and discount anymore. It's coming in as info, such that you can then access it through the object here, info.image, right? And then you do the same thing, info.price. And in our calculation here, we use it a lot. We do info.price. So where else did we need it? We used it. Let's check where else. I think that's all where we used it at. And we are good to go. So you can see a difference. So it's all matter of preference and the use case, what it is you are doing. Thank you for staying to the end. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and turn on bell notification in order to be notified when we release new videos. See you in the next one.